Alright guys, here's part 2 of the chapter 10 review. We left off on number 6. Okay, so number 6 says find the measure of angle ABC. So if you look at angle ABC, you'll notice it's one of those angles with the vertex on the circle, right? And we call those inscribed angles. And we know the measure of the inscribed angle will be 1/2 of whatever its intersected arc is. Okay, so we need to find its intersected arc. And we see right here we're given that this part of our circle is 120. This part is 100. We know that the whole circle is 360 degrees. So if we do 360 minus 120 minus 100, we'll find that the measure of arc AC is equal to 140. Okay, so this right here is 140. We know that the measure of angle ABC will be equal to 1/2 times 140. So the measure of angle ABC is equal to 70. Alright. On to the next. Alright, number 7 says if measure of angle X, so measure of angle X is 126, find the measure of angle Z. And what we learned about these parallelograms inside of our circles, or not parallelograms, sorry, quadrilaterals inside of our circle, is that the opposite angles are supplementary. I'm going to show you why that is again, because notice measure X is an inscribed angle. Okay, and its intersected arc is this arc right here. Right? Well, its opposite angle, angle Z, is this inscribed angle. And its intersected arc is this arc right here. Well, if you add those two arcs, you're going to get 360 degrees. So if you add the two inscribed angles that make those arcs, you should get half of that, which is 180 degrees. Which is why we know that those two angles have to be supplementary or add to be 180 degrees. So if we have that this one, that angle X is 126 degrees, we can do 180 minus 126, and that should give us angle Z. Okay. So then we'll find that the measure of angle Z is 54 degrees. Alright. Moving on again. Now we're at number 8. Alright, so we're given that MN, NO, and MO are all tangents, right? They're all tangent to our circle. Okay, we need to find X. And X is this part right here. Well, we learned about these tangent guys that from this exterior point to these points of tangency, right, we had congruent segments. Okay, so we know that this part and this part would be equal. Okay, and this segment would be equal. And lastly, that this segment would be equal to this segment. Okay, so we're given that this segment right here is 2. Well, if that one's 2, then we know that this segment right here is 2. Okay, they give us that this whole side in M is 10. So if this part right here is 10 and it's 2, then we know that this part right here has to be 8 meters. And lastly, if this guy ran away. Sorry about that. And we know if this guy right here is 8 meters, well, this guy right here is also 8 meters. So we know X is equal to 8 meters. Okay, not too bad, not too bad. Alright, moving on to page 2. Okay, we're right here on number 9. Alright, and then number 9 says find X. Okay, and we see that X is one of those interior angles, one of those angles inside of the circle. Okay, with the vertex inside the circle, and we found about these guys that the measure of the angle will be equal to, let me erase this little mark, will be equal to 1/2 of the sum of the two arcs that intersected. So this arc and this arc. Okay, so it'd be 1/2 of 122 plus 68. Okay. Alright, so just doing the stuff inside the parentheses first, we'll find that measure of angle X is equal to 1/2. 122 plus 68 gives us 190. And lastly, multiplying 1/2 times 190, or dividing 190 by 2, whichever way you look at it, we'll get the measure of angle X is equal to 95. Okay, so keep on moving, keep on moving. Alright, so we get to 10, and they want to find the arc VY. They want to find this arc right here. Okay? Again, we have a measure of this angle right here. Okay, and again, it's one of those angles with the vertex on the interior of the circle. So we're going to use that same formula, except now, instead of finding the angle, we're going to find the arc. Okay, we're going to find the arc. So using that same formula, we'll get that 64, which is the measure of your angle, is equal to, again, the sum, half the sum of the arcs. Now we have one of the arcs. We have one of the arcs, it's 48. We don't have the other, so we'll call it X. And then we'll solve for that. Okay? So we still have 64 on the left. Distributing by 1/2, we'll get 24 plus 1/2 X. Right? And then subtracting 24 from each side, because we're solving for X, we've got to isolate that variable. Right, we'll get 40 equals 1/2 X. Okay, and then last thing, we got 1/2 times X, so we have to do the opposite, divide by 1/2 on each side. And for those of you that know, dividing by 1/2 is the same thing as multiplying by 2. We'll find that X equals 80. 80 degrees. Okay. Let's keep on moving, keep on moving. Okay. So now number 11, they want us to find arc LN, which is this small arc. Small intersected arc, this exterior angle. Okay, and we found that the equation, or the formula for these angles with the vertex of the angle outside of the circle was 1/2 of the difference. 1/2 of the difference. Okay, so using that formula, it'll be 20, which is the measure of the angle, is equal to 1/2 of the difference. So the difference means we got to do the big arc minus the small arc. Well, we have the big arc, it's 96, and we don't have the small arc, so we'll call that X, minus X. Okay. So then again, distributing this 1/2, that'd be the first move. We'll get 20 equals 48 minus 1/2 X. Okay. Got to get this X by itself, isolate the variable, so subtract 48 from each side. And we'll get that negative 28 equals 1/2 X. And then the last step is to divide by that negative 1/2. Get that X by itself, which again is just like multiplying by 2. Negative divided by negative is going to put it back into positive land for us. Oh, sorry about that. Again, accidental scroll. We'll come right back to where we were. Okay, and we'll find that the answer to this guy is going to be X equals 56. X equals 56. Okay. I think I'll do one more problem for this video, and then we'll go to part 3. Actually, let's see. Actually, you know what? We'll stop there and we'll pick up on number 12 on part 3 of this video. Should be the last part. Alright.